What's going on, guys? I'm bringing you my predictions for the 2020 NHL Awards. If you guys don't know yet, Leon Draisaitl already locked down the Art Ross with 110 points in 71 games. He actually beat out McDavid, his teammate, by 13 points at 97. So pretty impressive year from Draisaitl. I think it's actually his first NHL trophy period, so pretty cool to see him finally get that. Then you have the Norris Trophy actually being shared by both Ovechkin and Pastrnak. Each finished the season with 48 goals. And just like Draisaitl, guys, the Norris is Pastrnak's first NHL trophy, whereas Ovechkin, he is winning it for the 9th time. So that's just insane. I think for sure he's going to go down as the greatest goal scorer to ever play in the NHL. And then the final award we already know of is actually the William Jennings Trophy, awarded to the goalie on the team with the lowest goals against, which was the Boston Bruins with 174. They beat Dallas there by 3, who had 177. And that trophy is actually being shared by both Tuukka Rask and Jaroslav Halak, as they're almost in a timeshare this year. Rask played 40, Halak played 30, so pretty close. Boston also won the President's Trophy, and having the least goals against, big reason why. And next year, guys, we're moving on to my predictions. Starting off with the Ted Lindsay Award. 3 nominees there are Leon Draisaitl, Nathan MacKinnon, and Artemi Panarin. Now, for each of these awards, guys, I'll not only be giving you guys my prediction, but I'm also going to pick a player who I think was the biggest snub. Either I think they should have been one of the 3 nominees, or I would just have them stay as a close 4th spot. So for the Ted Lindsay Award, I would say probably McDavid or Pastrnak would be like a snub in this case. Honestly, though, I'd probably agree with the 3 nominees they have there, and my pick for sure has to be Leon Draisaitl. I mean, I said how McDavid's probably one of the snubs, and he outscored McDavid by 13 points. I feel, without a doubt, the best player in the NHL this season. I mean, it's just not even close. The only guy with 100 points, and the difference between him and number 2, which was McDavid, who most people consider to be best player in the NHL, was 13 points. So I know a lot of people are going to say how he plays with McDavid, so that's a big reason why he had such a good year, but regardless of that, if you look at the stats, it's self-explanatory. Draisaitl was the best player in the NHL this season, hands down. And next year, guys, we're looking at the Jack Adams Award. This, of course, is nominated to the best head coach in the NHL. 3 nominees there are Bruce Cassidy, John Tortorella, and Alain Vigneault. If I had to pick a snub, I'd probably go with Dave Tippett, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, they missed the playoffs the past few seasons. He comes in, not only do they make the playoffs, they finish 2nd in the Pacific Division. Draisaitl and McDavid are 1 and 2 in scoring. I would have him definitely as a snub. Would I have him in place of any of these 3? I don't know. I think, Cassidy, of course, head coach of Bruins, who won the President's Trophy, can't take him out. Tortorella on the Blue Jackets, a lot of people had them finishing like bottom 5 in the league after losing Panarin and Bobrovsky, and they were right in the mix for a playoff spot before the season got postponed. And then Alain Vigneault, I think the Flyers most people had as a playoff team, but probably a wild card team, and they finished 2nd in the Metropolitan Division, so he definitely got a ton out of them as well. So I think I'm probably fine with 3 nominees, and if I had to pick a winner, I'm going to go John Tortorella. Again, I think his team performed the best considering where the expectations were at, and that's usually who the Jack Adams goes to. Columbus just outperformed expectations huge. Also, I actually had Tortorella as my Jack Adams pick before the season started, so if he could win it, I think that'd be pretty awesome for me. Next year, guys, this is a big one. We have the Calder Trophy. So 3 nominees there: Quinn Hughes, Dominic Kubalik, and Cale Makar. If I had to pick a snub for this award, it would definitely be Victor Olofsson. He was having a great rookie season before he got injured, and if he hadn't gotten injured, I feel like he'd probably take the spot of Kubalik as that 3rd nominee. But regardless of who that 3rd nominee is, this award has always been between the 2 defensemen, Hughes and Makar, and they finished so close in points. I think Hughes had like 3 or 4 more points than Makar, but Makar played 8 less games. So Makar has the higher points per game, Hughes has the higher points total. It's just such a close one, but honestly for me, I have to go with Cale Makar. I feel like, obviously, the points per game is a big thing, but also the fact that Colorado traded away Tyson Barrie, which is a huge hole to fill. Makar comes in and does exactly that, just excels exceptionally on that team. Avalanche also had some pretty big injuries this year, and he was able to help them with scoring. Actually finished 2nd on the team in scoring with 50 points his rookie year as a defenseman. So, although I think both players are awesome, obviously I'm a huge Quinn Hughes fan as he played for Michigan, and I was hoping Detroit would have drafted him, honestly. I have to go with Makar here, as I feel like he just has that slight edge on Hughes this season, and if he hadn't gotten injured, I feel like there'd be even less of a debate. And next year, guys, we have the Lady Byng Trophy, which is awarded to a player who had demonstrated both sportsmanship and a high level of playing. 3 nominees there. You have McKinnon, Matthews, and O'Reilly. All 3 of these guys had barely any penalty minutes. I think McKinnon had 12, Matthews 8, and O'Reilly 10. Now, if you look at scoring, I think O'Reilly only had like 60 points. Matthews had 80, then McKinnon had 93. So in my opinion, I feel like the penalty minutes is a wash. Then you just gotta look at kind of who had the better season. And I feel like that has to go to McKinnon. Also, too, I always feel like the Lady Byng Award is kind of like a secondary award to a player that had a really good season, but not quite enough points to win the Hart, Ted Lindsay, or whatever, while also having, very low penalty minutes and just a clean game. And I think definitely McKinnon this year fits that bill. So he's going to be my award for Lady Byng. Matthews and O'Reilly, though, very, very close at 2 and 3. Also, too, for a snub, totally forgot to mention, I would actually nominate Makar, who I just said had winning the Calder Trophy. Until like December, I think, he actually had 0 penalty minutes in his entire NHL career, even dating back to last year's playoffs, where he, of course, got his first NHL action. And I think he finished with like 12 penalty minutes maybe total. And as a defenseman, it's even, I think, more impressive than being a forward to have that low penalty minutes, especially your rookie year. You know, maybe you're a bit sloppy, you know, you're not used to the fast-paced NHL. Very, very impressive, I think, just how clean of a game he played as a defenseman rookie season for the Avalanche, and I just kind of think that's even more reason why he deserves the Calder. And next year, guys, we have the Bill Masterton Trophy award to the player that demonstrates both sportsmanship and dedication to the game of hockey. Now, even though that's the official definition of the award, most people consider it like the comeback award. So the 3 nominees we have here are Stephen Johns, Oscar Lindblom, and Bobby Ryan. If I had to pick a snub on this list, I would definitely go with Shea Theodore. If you guys don't know, he actually beat testicular cancer last summer after finding out about it at the World Championships, and he was actually able to recover so fast. He beat it and then was ready in time for the start of the next season. So I think that's pretty impressive. Stephen Johns was out for almost 2 years from hockey due to severe headaches, was able to actually come back and play and be healthy. So I think missing that much time, able to actually, you know, come back at NHL form is also very impressive. Oscar Lindblom, of course, also had his own battle with cancer, and although he won't be back this season, he actually recently became cancer-free, which is awesome to see, and he actually signed a new contract with the Flyers. I think it was like 3 years, $9 million. And then finally, you have Bobby Ryan. He was actually put into the Players Substance Abuse Program, and of course, everyone remembers, came back, first home game, put up a hat-trick, which is a great return for him. So I think this is the award where everyone would say, no matter who wins it, no one's going to be upset with who won it. I feel like every single one of these guys is equally deserving. But in my opinion, if I had to just pick one guy, it would be Bobby Ryan. As I actually mentioned in my Bill Masterton team video, the deciding factor for me just has to be the way he made that return, scoring that hat trick. It just made it like such a special moment, I thought. And also, too, for me, I think Lindblom will definitely be getting it next year after he makes that return. Because if you look at it as a comeback award, I feel like you give it to the guy once he makes that comeback. So hopefully Lindblom is back playing the NHL next season. And at that point, I feel like he'd be a lock for the 2021 Bill Masterton. And next year, guys, we have the Vezina Trophy, of course, awarded the best goalie in the NHL. 3 nominees there are Connor Hellebuyck, Tuukka Rask, and Andrei Vasilevskiy. If I had to pick a snub for this one, I'd probably go with Ben Bishop. I felt like he had a very solid season, and a big reason why the Dallas Stars were able to turn around that horrendous start where they went like 1-7. And I think Darcy Kemper for me would have been another snub if he had actually played an entire season, but because he got injured and only played 30 or so games, I feel like it's definitely tough to nominate him for this award. But if he had stayed healthy, I think not only would he be a snub, he'd probably be one of the 3 nominees. Now, looking at the 3 goalies here, obviously Rask already has William Jennings, but only played 40 games. He had a ton of help from Halak this year. Vasilevskiy already won the award last year, and I feel like when you compare his stats to Hellebuyck's, as well as Rask's stats to Hellebuyck, they just don't compare. If you look at Connor Hellebuyck's stats, he was top 10 in goals against for starting goaltenders, top 5 in save percentage, second in wins behind only Vasilevskiy, and then number 1 in shutouts. So I feel like, looking at that Winnipeg Jets team, he was definitely the MVP of that team. As well, if you actually look at all 3 teams, the Jets roster is nowhere near as good as the Boston Bruins or the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially when you look at the defense. They lost 3 top 4 defensemen last season. They traded away Jacob Trouba, lost Tyler Myers to free agency, and then Dustin Byfuglien essentially like took the year off of hockey. So the only top 4 defenseman they didn't lose is Josh Morrissey, and they replaced those 3 guys with Neil Pionk and basically waiver pickups. So I think everyone knew going into this season the only way the Jets could make the playoffs is if Hellebuyck stood on his head and played amazing, and the Jets made the playoffs, and that's exactly what Hellebuyck did. So in my eyes, Hellebuyck is the most deserving of this award, hands down, and honestly, if he doesn't win, I would love to know like what the voters are looking at. And next year, guys, we have another big one, the James Norris Trophy, awarded the best defense in the NHL. We got John Carlson, Victor Hedman, Roman Josi. All 3 of these guys top defensemen. If I had to pick a snub for this list, I would actually go in a bit different route, as these guys finished 1, 2, and 3 in scoring for defensemen. I would go with Jacob Slavin. I feel like Jacob Slavin is one of the best defensemen in the NHL when it comes to the defensive aspects of the game, which is often overlooked for this Norris Trophy. But I would like to mention him as a snub, because I feel like he's at least deserving of that. Now, looking at the 3 nominees here, guys, honestly, I feel like all 3 are equally deserving, so it's basically just going to come down to the points, and John Carlson this year just absolutely went off. High scoring defenseman by far. You could argue Hedman's a bit better defensively. You could argue Yossi's a bit better defensively. But Carlson knows how to play defense too. So I feel like him having the 10-point edge on Josi and the 20-point edge on Hedman is definitely going to be the reason why he ends up winning this award. And again, I think well deserved. At some points during the season, he was actually leading just all players in points, which is pretty incredible as a D-man. So for this year, definitely deserving. And next, you guys have the Selke Trophy, awarded the forward who best excels in the defensive aspects of the game. 3 nominees here. We have Patrice Bergeron, Sean Couturier, and Ryan O'Reilly. If I had to pick a snub for this award, I'd actually go with Anthony Cirelli. Kind of a bit of an off-the-board pick, similar to Slavin for the Norris, but I feel like Cirelli is a very, very good 2-way forward. Again, a guy I feel like gets a little bit overlooked because his points aren't quite as high. Also, too, on Tampa Bay is probably a little bit overshadowed by Kucherov, by Stamkos. In regards to the nominees here, guys, Bergeron, Couturier, O'Reilly, I feel like all 3 of these guys are very good 2-way centers. They all had pretty similar amount of points this year. But in my eyes, I feel like Couturier is most deserving this year. He's a big reason for the Flyers' success this season. I feel like he's been a very good two-way center the past few years. And this year, he should finally get awarded for that. I mean, you have to be a pretty good center, I think, to move Claude Giroux to the wing, which is exactly what they did for Couturier. And I think, too, the fact that Bergeron and O'Reilly have both already won this award, it's just kind of like the year for Couturier to win it. And honestly, I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't. And finally here, guys, we have the Hart Trophy Award, nominated to the player most valuable to his team. So who was the MVP of this season? It's a little bit different than the Ted Lindsay Award, which is voted on by the players, and it's given to the best player in the league, which isn't always the same as the most valuable player. Also, the Hart Trophy Award is voted on by the NHL media, who picked the other awards, where the Ted Lindsay is just the players. So looking at it, honestly, I think it's such a tough decision. Draisaitl, of course, led the entire league in points, and he had a huge lead on second, which was McDavid. But everyone's argument is always, can you really be the MVP of a team that has Connor McDavid on it? And I feel like that is a pretty fair argument, especially if you consider McDavid to be the best player in the world, which I do. As much as I like Draisaitl, can you be the MVP on a team that has McDavid? Then you have Nathan MacKinnon, who really carried that Avalanche team this season. Both Rantanen and Landeskog were injured at certain points of the year. And if you look at the points for the Avalanche, as I already mentioned, Makar was second in scoring with like 50 points, and MacKinnon led the team with 93, which means the difference between 1 and 2 was 43 points. And a couple years ago, MacKinnon lost out on the Hart Trophy to Hull due to that same reason. Hull was just the best player on the Devils by far. He had like 30 or 40 more points than number 2, who I think was Hischier or somebody. So if you use kind of that same rationale, you would think it's MacKinnon this year. And then finally you have Panarin, who, similar to MacKinnon, really led that New York Ranger team. He definitely had a bit more help with Zibanejad, who had 75 points and was one of the highest goal scorers in the league this year. But I feel like without Panarin, the Rangers aren't even sniffing the playoffs. And at the end of the season, before they postponed it, they were kind of right in that wild card mix. So if the season finished, maybe they would have made it, maybe they wouldn't have. And a big thing with the Hart Trophy is always whether or not your team makes the playoffs. Like the year Hull won, if the Devils hadn't made the playoffs, he wouldn't have won that trophy. So if the Rangers ended up missing, Panarin doesn't get this nominee probably, but the fact that they get in due to the new format, he's now a nominee. Looking at it all, guys, Hart Trophy winner, who's it going to be? I'm going to go Nathan MacKinnon. I feel like looking at, kind of everything, which one of these players is the biggest MVP in my eyes, and I think it has to be Nathan MacKinnon. Again, for the same reason Hall won a couple years ago. You look at the supporting cast, when a rookie defenseman is the second leading scorer on the team in points, and he's 43 points behind you, it kind of shows that you were carrying that team. Now, even though I'm going with MacKinnon, this was probably the toughest award to pick a winner for of any of them. As like I said, I feel like all three guys are equally deserving, and honestly, I have no idea kind of which way the voters are going to go. I could see any one of these three guys winning. So let me know in the comment section who you guys think is going to win the Hart Trophy Award, or any of the awards, honestly. If you have a different opinion from me, I'd love to hear your perspective and why you think somebody else is going to win it. But that's going to be it, guys, for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, please do that. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.